Year 9. Over the last few lessons, we've been looking at our work on indices. Indices, it's like a number to the power of a number. We're now at the point where we're dealing with these indices in brackets. Now, yesterday, the rule that I basically gave you was if you have a to the power of m in brackets to the power of n, what we know is that we can simplify and write a to the m n, or times. So remember, when it's a product, you just add. Well, now we're at the point with these brackets where you can multiply. But the thing to be aware of is you need to raise each term inside the brackets to the power. So if it's multiplied and it's a times b, then it needs to become a to the n times b to the n. Let me show you one example that might demonstrate this. Imagine that we have CD. Imagine that we have CD to the power of 3. Really, what's going on is that we are doing CD times CD times CD. And we know with multiplication, we can change the order of this. And we can change the order of this so that we could write it as C times C times C times D times D times D. Well, we've got C cubed and we've got D cubed. So you can see when we have CD cubed, that's what that means. We can reorder it and we end up with C cubed, the first one, and D cubed. Of course, you can then simplify it back to C cubed, D cubed. Now the same thing happens if we have this one. So for example, C over D, and if we do that to the power of 3, then you've got C over D times C over D times C over D. And when I do that, you can see on the top, I've got C times C times C, and on the bottom, D times D times D, which then will simplify to C cubed over D cubed. So when it's a quotient or a division fraction like this, all right, both terms need to be raised to the power. And so you could write it like that as well. C cubed over D cubed. So that piece of information is important. Don't just think, oh, I've only got to look at the second part. Everything inside the brackets has to be raised to the power of n. Every term inside the brackets. All right, we've got some examples here. Let's have a quick look at these examples. And we're getting pretty quick at doing these year 9, which is good. So we're just going to keep working hard at doing them well. So question 1, for example, is 2gh to the power of 5. 2gh squared to the power of 5. Now, I'm just going to use this but shortcut it a little bit. What I actually have is, I'm doing every term raised to that power. I've got 2 to the power of 5. I've got g, and in case you're a bit unsure, g on itself is g to the power of 1 times 5. And then I've got h to the power of 2 times 5. All right? So I'm multiplying for each of those. I can then simplify that. 2 to the power of 5, I think is 32. G, 1 times 5 becomes 5. H, 2 times 5 becomes 10. Okay, so that's where we're at. Question 2. It looks a little bit simpler, it's only a squared, but remember, we have to do each term inside. So let's make sure we do that. 7c over d to the power of 2. Each term inside. So we've got 7 squared, we've got c squared, and we've got d squared. And we could write that, because we know 7 squared is 49, c squared over d squared. That one, pretty straightforward, isn't it really? Remember, don't forget, that's like there's a 1 there and there. Question 3. 4k squared divided by 5. Again, every term has to be raised to the power. 4k squared over 5, all to the power of 2. Alright, so we've got 4 squared, we've got k squared times 2, and we've got 5 squared. Now, we by now should know 4 squared. What's 4 squared?
16.
16. Thank you. Good work. What's 2 times 2?
4.
Good. So I've got 16k to the power of 4. What's 5 squared?
25.
25. There's our answer. So remember, when you are doing these questions with the brackets, every term needs to be raised to the power. But these little shortcuts are making our work much easier. Really now, we need to get in and practice, practice, practice.